On February 19, 2026, Alysa Liu stood on the Olympic podium in Milan with 2 gold medals around her neck and said 2 words into every microphone pointed at her. Shout out Oakland. Not shout out America. Not shout out my coaches or my sponsors or my federation. Shout out Oakland. The city where a 5-year-old girl first stepped onto the ice at the Oakland Ice Center on 10th Avenue. The city where she grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment in Richmond with her 4 siblings sleeping on 3 bunk beds. The city that had watched the Warriors leave and the Raiders leave and the A's leave and had kept showing up anyway. The city that, as Mayor Barbara Lee would later say, always punches above its weight. On March 12, 2026, Oakland punched back. Thousands of people filled Frank Ogawa Plaza outside City Hall for the Alysa Liu Welcome Home Celebration rally. They had started arriving at 9 in the morning, 3 hours before the program began, in the sunny Oakland weather. They brought signs and flags and collages. They brought children who were too young to understand what an Olympic gold medal meant but who could feel that something important was happening in the plaza outside City Hall. One of those children was a 7-year-old girl named Everly who wore a t-shirt that said "Just a girl who loves ice skating." She held a poster with a photograph of herself and Alysa Liu taken 2 years earlier at the Oakland Ice Center. She said, "She gives me my ice skating career and my goals. She works hard, she's talented." People drove from San Francisco and San Jose and Sacramento. An Alameda resident named Jackie Downing arrived more than 2 hours early for a good spot. She said, "She is marching to the beat of her own drummer and just seems like a force for positivity and spreading joy. She's a great representative of Oakland and an inspiration for the Bay Area." A resident named Iris said, "Coming from a humble background, she's not rich. My kids used to skate at Oakland Ice Center. It's just amazing. I'm just so proud of her and her attitude about it. She retired and came back and is just here to have fun." An Oakland resident named Maimuna Rashid told a reporter, "We love to see Oakland people shine. And we love to represent our people. So yeah, I took off work today to come represent and celebrate one of our winners." The whole Bay Area watched. And what they watched was a city saying thank you to one of its own in the loudest and most genuine way it knew how. To understand what this rally meant, you need to understand what Oakland has been through in the years leading up to it. The Golden State Warriors played at Oracle Arena in Oakland for 47 years. They left for the Chase Center in San Francisco in 2019. The Oakland Raiders played at the Oakland Coliseum for most of their existence. They left for Las Vegas in 2020. The Oakland Athletics played baseball in Oakland since 1968. They left for Sacramento in 2025 on the way to a new stadium in Las Vegas. 3 professional sports teams. 3 departures. 3 times the city that had filled those arenas and bought those jerseys and cheered those players watched something that had been part of its identity walk out the door for somewhere with more money or a newer building or a better deal. Oakland is a city that has been told repeatedly by the institutions that profited from it that it is not quite enough. Not quite big enough. Not quite wealthy enough. Not quite important enough to hold on to the things it loves. And then one of its own daughters won the most watched winter sports event in the world and said "Shout out Oakland." Not as an afterthought. Not as a quick acknowledgement before moving on to the important thank yous. As the first and most immediate expression of who she was and where she came from and who she was skating for. Shout out Oakland. The city that made her. The city she was proud to bring to Milan. Mayor Barbara Lee heard it and said, "Alysa Liu is Oakland. Her drive, her brilliance, her joy. Watching her claim gold for our city and our country filled every Oaklander with pride. And we are overjoyed to welcome her home." 7,000 people in Frank Ogawa Plaza on March 12 were the physical proof of what that statement meant. Frank Ogawa Plaza is not an accidental choice for this kind of celebration. The square outside Oakland City Hall is named after Frank Ogawa, a Japanese-American city councilman who spent time in an internment camp during World War II and went on to serve Oakland for decades. The plaza named after him has hosted protests, celebrations, community gatherings, and civic moments of every kind. It sits in the heart of downtown Oakland, 2 blocks from the 12th Street BART station and surrounded by the architecture of a city that has always been more complicated and more interesting than the way it gets described from the outside. It is the right place for Alysa Liu to come home to. A square named after a Japanese-American man who was imprisoned by his own government and chose to serve his community anyway. A city built by immigrants and their children. A place that understands the specific experience of being told you do not quite belong and showing up anyway. Her father Arthur Liu knows something about that experience. He was smuggled out of China after organizing pro-democracy protests in 1989. He built a life in Oakland from nothing. He became an immigration attorney. He raised 5 children on his own through surrogacy in a 1-bedroom apartment in Richmond. He is a man who chose Oakland and Oakland chose him back. His daughter was 5 years old when he took her to the Oakland Ice Center on 10th Avenue for the first time. 15 years later she stood in a plaza named after a Japanese-American internment camp survivor and addressed 7,000 people who had come specifically to see her. She turned down a parade. When the city asked what kind of celebration she wanted, Alysa Liu said she did not want a parade. She asked instead for something different. A celebration that shines a light on Oakland's vibrant community and talented local artists. Think about what that request reveals about who she is. She had just won 2 Olympic gold medals. She was the most famous person from Oakland since whatever the last most famous person from Oakland was. She could have had anything. A motorcade down Broadway. A key to the city presented on a stage with a marching band and confetti cannons. The full championship parade treatment that cities reserve for their most celebrated moments. She said no. She said let the community be the celebration. Let the artists be seen. Let Oakland be the point rather than me being the point. That is the same person who said she would jeopardize her skating for her friends. Who said winning is not all that. Who said there is no way to lose? Who said the people are right there and pointed at her siblings in the stands and performed directly to their faces? She did not want a monument to herself. She wanted a party for her city. And her city showed up for it. 2 miles from Frank Ogawa Plaza, in the Temescal neighborhood at the corner of 43rd and Telegraph, a 15-foot mural watches over the street. The Illuminaries Collective, 3 artists named Steve Ha, Tim Han, and Eric Nadera, painted it after D-Funk's viral post comparing Alyssa's competition face to Mac Dre, the Oakland rapper who defined Bay Area hi-fi culture in the early 2000s and who died in 2004. The comparison caught exactly something real about her expression on the ice. The concentration and the joy and the specific Oakland energy that looks like something you cannot quite name until someone names it for you and then you cannot unsee it. The mural is painted in green and gold. Oakland A's colors. The colors of a baseball team that left for Sacramento in 2025 on its way to Las Vegas. The latest in the line of professional teams that decided Oakland was not worth staying for. The artists chose those colors deliberately. Because Alysa Liu stayed. She grew up in Oakland and she trained in Oakland and she won her gold medals and came back to Oakland. She is the thing that stayed when so many things left. The Oakland Roots, a local soccer club, sponsored the mural after the artists had already committed their own money to completing it. The community funded what it believed in before the institutions caught up. She said "Shoutout Oakland" from the podium in Milan. The mural at 43rd and Telegraph had already been saying "Shout out Alysa Liu" to everyone who drove past it for weeks. The Oakland Ice Center on 10th Avenue is 3 blocks from Frank Ogawa Plaza. She has been training there since she was 5 years old. The coaches there have known her since before she was famous, before she was a national champion, before she was an Olympic competitor. They knew her when she was a little girl in rental skates who was obviously gifted and who needed someone to help her develop what she had. When she came back from her 2-year retirement in 2024, she came back to Oakland. Not to a training center in another state. Not to a facility in another country. To the Oakland Ice Center on 10th Avenue. Because the comeback had conditions, and one of the conditions was that she would not uproot her life again. That she would stay near her siblings. That she would be able to drive herself places and go out with her friends and have a normal life alongside the skating. She trained at the Ice Center on 10th Avenue for the 2 years between her return in Milan. She drove herself there. She left when she wanted to leave. She trained the way she wanted to train. And she won the Olympic gold medal that 7,000 people came to Frank Ogawa Plaza to celebrate. The rink is 3 blocks away. Everything that happened in that plaza on March 12 started in that building. A little girl and her father and the ice and what happened when they found each other. Here is what Peter Gomez, the president and CEO of Visit Oakland, said about the rally. He said, "We are thrilled to celebrate Alysa Liu's incredible accomplishments and proud that she is showing her love for Oakland on a global stage. These powerful moments have a positive impact on our tourism economy, which is extremely important to the success of our city. When one of Oakland's own shines bright, they illuminate the town and showcase the spirit of our community." He is right about the tourism economy. He is right about the illumination. But the part of that statement that matters most is the last sentence. When one of Oakland's own shines bright, they illuminate the town. That illumination is what 7,000 people came to Frank Ogawa Plaza to witness in person. Not just to see Alysa Liu. To see Oakland lit up. To stand in the square named after a Japanese-American internment camp survivor in a city that has been told repeatedly it is not enough and feel, for a Tuesday afternoon in March, like the most important place in the world. She said "Shoutout Oakland" from Milan. She meant it. She turned down the parade so the city could be the celebration. She came home and stood in the plaza and addressed the crowd that had been there since 9 in the morning waiting for her. Oakland punched above its weight again. Oakland always does. Before she took the stage at Frank Ogawa Plaza, Alysa Liu spoke to reporters at a pre-rally press conference inside City Hall alongside Mayor Barbara Lee. Mayor Lee said, "I just want to say, I'm such a fan, girl. To have the first American woman in 24 years to win an Olympic gold medal in figure skating, she did it her way, fearless, focused, and fully herself." Then Alysa spoke. She said, "It's been crazy how much visibility I have right now. I would have never expected that, especially from a figure skater. You know, we don't really blow up like that." She said, "My environment did shape me, because this is such a great place and I'm so lucky to grow up here and still live here today." She said, "Representation matters so much. We don't really realize it. Having one person is sometimes all you need. And I'm honored and grateful that I can be that for some people." She said she did not initially expect to leave Italy as a newfound Generation Z icon. She said she is both grateful and honored that her story could inspire others to go after their own personal and professional accomplishments, particularly youths of color. She also said, "I'm really excited for today's rally. I am in for a lot of surprises. I didn't want to know anything beforehand, so pretty stoked." She did not know what was coming. She had asked not to know. The girl who controls everything about her own skating life chose to walk into her own homecoming celebration with complete openness. She shows up. She does not always need to control what she shows up to. Then she walked out onto the stage at Frank Ogawa Plaza and the city lost its mind. She held up her 2 gold medals to the crowd and shouted, "This is for y'all." The program was Oakland from beginning to end. Sway Calloway, the legendary hip-hop broadcaster and Bay Area native, served as the MC. The Fremont High School drumline performed. Artists from TURF Inc., the group that created turf dancing, the hi-fi-rooted Bay Area street dance style that Alysa has said she loves as a hip-hop fan, got her to join their circle. She danced. Of course she did. U.S. Shaolin Kung Fu's lion dancers performed in honor of her Chinese heritage, her father Arthur watching from the crowd. Then Abayomi Lewis, an American Idol finalist and current student at the Oakland School for the Arts, took the stage and delivered a solo vocal performance of MacArthur Park, the Donna Summer song Alysa had chosen for her gold medal-winning free skate. The song that had started with 15 versions and made her cry building it, and that she skated in a shimmering gold dress with 7 clean triple jumps in Milan. Performed live. In Oakland. 1 block from where her journey began. Then Christy Yamaguchi took the stage. Yamaguchi, the first Asian American woman to win a Winter Olympic gold medal, raised in nearby Fremont, said, "Every time I've watched Alysa skate there's always been a giant smile on my face, and I'm glad the world got to see that as well. She stepped out onto the ice with such confidence, with joy, and most importantly, with her true self. Believe me, she is a gamer. She knows how to compete. But greatness is not about medals. It's about character, respect, and love for the sport." Olympic gold medal boxer Andre Ward also spoke. East Bay Congresswoman Latifah Simon told the crowd, "We have a young sister who has shown us what it means to live life with excellence, beauty, on her own terms." She called Alysa Liu an American hero. Then a recorded video message played on the big screens. Stephen Curry of the Golden State Warriors looked into the camera and said, "From one gold medal winner to another, just want to say keep doing your thing. Keep representing the Bay. And we love you." The crowd went up. Then Mayor Barbara Lee presented Alysa Liu with the key to the city of Oakland. She held it up. She smiled the smile. She pointed at the crowd the same way she points at the sky on the Olympic ice. And then there was Kalani. The city of Oakland did not just bring Alysa Liu home with a rally. It brought 2 of its own home at the same time. Because closing the celebration at Frank Ogawa Plaza was Kalani, born Kalani Ashley Parrish, Oakland, born April 24, 1995. And it was a surprise. Alysa said she did not want to know what was coming. She had no idea Kalani was performing until Kalani walked on stage. Kalani is Alysa Liu's favorite Oakland-raised artist. That is not a booking decision made by the city's events team. That is the city doing its homework, finding out what the woman they are celebrating actually loves, and delivering it. Kalani was raised by their aunt after their father died when they were a toddler and their mother served time in prison. As a teenager they attended the Oakland School for the Arts where they studied ballet and modern dance before a knee injury redirected them to music. In 2012 and 2013 Kalani was effectively homeless, sleeping on couches and stealing food from grocery stores to survive. They released their first track on SoundCloud and built one of the most loyal fanbases in contemporary R&B from that starting point. 2 Grammy Awards. Best R&B Song and Best R&B Performance. 12 million monthly Spotify listeners. And deep, unbroken roots in Oakland that have never changed regardless of how famous she became. Both of them attended the Oakland School for the Arts. Kalani graduated from it. Alysa attended it too. 2 alumni of the same Oakland Arts School, one on stage closing the biggest celebration the city had thrown in years, the other standing next to her as the reason the celebration was happening at all. At one point during the performance Kalani stopped and called Alysa back onto the stage. She looked out at the crowd and said, "Can you all make some noise for my goat?" The crowd made noise. Greatest of all time. From Kalani. On stage. In Oakland. In front of the city that made both of them. Neither of them became who they are by following the blueprint their discipline had always demanded. Kalani brought radical emotional honesty into R&B and built a career her aunt who raised her would recognize as coming directly from that upbringing. Alysa Liu brought ADHD and thrifted costumes and friends over training sessions into figure skating and won 2 Olympic gold medals. Both of them did it from Oakland. Both of them were at Frank Ogawa Plaza on March 12, 2026. The most Oakland afternoon the city had experienced since the Warriors left. There is one more thing to know about what happened at the rally that has nothing to do with the stage. Children's Fairyland on the shores of Lake Merritt has been renamed Fairy Liu for the rest of the month. Fenton's Creamery, the legendary Oakland ice cream institution, created a new flavor called Alysa's Gold, crushed golden Oreos in a caramel base, finished with a caramel swirl. A hair salon reported that since the Olympics customers had been coming in asking specifically for her color, her stripes, and her bangs. The stylist said one customer just said, "I want exactly what you gave to Alysa." The city did not just show up to the plaza. The city reorganized itself around her. Named things after her. Made food after her. Changed its hair after her. For a girl who grew up in a one-bedroom apartment in Richmond with 4 siblings on 3 bunk beds and a father who sacrificed everything he had to give her what she needed. She said she connects with everything but is not attached to anything. She held the key to the city. She held up the 2 gold medals. She said, "This is for y'all." She danced in the turf circle. She got called back on stage by her favorite artist who called her the greatest of all time. And then she would leave for what comes next. Stars on Ice. The new season. The French Alps in 2030. That is Alysa Liu. Always has been. Always will be. She said, "Shoutout Oakland" from Milan. Oakland gave her the key. Both things are true. Both things are the whole story. Shout out Oakland.